At Southeast Missouri State University,
You're here for more than a degree. You're here to do whatever it takes.
we don't just learn from textbooks, we learn from each other. That's why we tackle our challenges, fuel innovation, and never settle. We're giving you the tools to learn, to lead, to grow, to do.
On this edition of River Tales, the Lions Club and the Boys and Girls Club of Cape Girardeau joined forces to help pink up Cape with some little scary ghosts. We'll get a first-person view of some drone quadcopters from the FPV Club of St. Louis, and we'll tour and visit two historic Cape Girardeau institutions, the Cape River Heritage Museum and Schimmelbein's Music Store. Stay tuned to River Tales.
One would think that two of the most celebrated events in the month of October wouldn't have anything in common. But there are two organizations that have been joining together to do something thoughtful and fun. So I sat down with Dave Baldwin from the Lions Club and talked to him about what his organization and the Boys and Girls Club are doing to help pink up Cape.
About 5 years ago, I was driving home in October and I saw some ghosts hanging from a tree and remember doing that when we were all little, of putting the little white ghost to hang out in the tree. And it hit me that Think Pink month is October, so wouldn't it make sense to make pink ghosts and do something to give an extra help to the American Cancer Society? About a year later, I talked to Vicki here at Boys and Girls Club, and we thought this would be a great thing to do where the young kids could help build something that would raise money for a well-known organization helping those around us.
So I sat down with a few of the members and asked them what they thought about making these ghosts.
I like helping other people than myself, and it's for a good cause.
I enjoy making these ghosts because I sort of get a sense of accomplishment, and I feel like I've helped someone out there whenever I made a ghost.
So I caught up with Vicki Lawson, Director of Operations at the Boys and Girls Club, and asked her about this partnership.
Partnerships with other civic organizations in Cape Girardeau are always a good grounds, I guess you could say, for more community service time for the kids. We don't often have the opportunity to take the kids out into the community to do community service because of lack of resources, so being able to bring a community service in-house is a big bonus. Once they learned what the money was going towards, they were even more enthusiastic about it because a lot of them have donated their hair to Locks of Love for the same thing, and this just was an added bonus.
One of the newer members at the Boys and Girls Club, Alana Long, had some very heartfelt words to say about these pink ghosts.
I think they are important because it's going to make the lost ones or the happy ones feel generous or grateful to remember they're the ones that have cancer.
With October fast approaching, many homeowners and businesses are looking for ways to help pink up Cape. These ghosts are just another way that they can do so.
I've been having fun driving around town. Many of you have probably noticed over the past few years, especially downtown on Broadway and down by the river, hanging pink ghosts in trees and off porches of places of business. You'll see them around at homes hanging from trees. And there are so many generous people in Cape Girardeau that give quite a donation just to have a few ghosts hang from the trees because they know it's going to a very useful purpose to the American Cancer Society. The Boys and Girls Club is a very good organization here in Cape Girardeau, and given the opportunity to help others, I knew that the kids would start laughing and get busy building ghosts to take out and offer to people. So it has been a great partnership going for 4 years.
I sat down with one member, Caden Alford, and he explained why he continues to do this year after year after year.
I love making the ghosts every year, and I like helping people and giving them to people. Well, I like making the eyes because it's like I like creating the eyes because you get to design your own things like that. So
they're gonna give them to.
When I spoke to Miss Lawson, she explained this is a fun and different type of way for members to get involved in community service.
From the standpoint of the kids, I feel very positive about it because it gives the kids the opportunity to participate in a community service project different than most community service. They're not out cleaning a park or picking up trash. They're doing something different. It's kind of artsy and craftsy at the same time, but it's all still for a good cause.
Many of the members I spoke to reiterated the importance of these ghosts that they made.
it's important we make these because it really helps people going through breast cancer, and it makes me feel happy that we're helping them.
It's important because, it would help breast care awareness. It would help them feel better, and it would help them it would help them know that they're still being loved.
I think it's important to make the ghost because it helps raise money and maybe people can find a cure to their problem.
These ghosts may not be terrifying to you or I, but they do help scare up something different. Breast cancer awareness.
Your brothers don't care. Your sisters don't care. The intramural field, the Greek Week trophy, the homecoming float, they don't care.
I don't care.
I don't care.
We don't care. Greeks don't care!
If you have values, you have value. Southeast Missouri State University, committed to diversity in Greek life.
Welcome to the world of quadcopters. Technology that may seem like science fiction is now very much reality, and a group of quadcopter pilots in St. Louis are putting their hardware to the test. This is FPV racing.
FPV is first-person view. So literally, it is what the helicopter is seeing through the camera is what you're seeing on the goggles in real time. It's essentially the easiest way to describe it would be sitting in the cockpit of an aircraft or an airplane, helicopter, whatever, and the same way that you would be looking at as if you were flying is the same way that it looks on the goggles or on the TV, depending on how you have it set up, that the helicopters are seeing it. These are a fully immersive set of goggles, and what these actually have is a small TV screen in the backside and then a specialized lens that kind of wraps it all the way around, so it's just like you and me looking at each other. It's got the receiver on the top, so it pulls the signal that the helicopter's putting out, and it transmits that over to video to where I can see what the helicopter sees. We essentially got started earlier this year. A good friend of mine, Joe, decided he didn't want to kind of be stuck sitting on the sidelines anymore. Wanted to get out and find more people that like to race, and started a Facebook page. We all started kind of communicating through that, started linking up. Went from like 3 or 5 guys, or started off as 3. It was Joe, myself, and Aaron, and then we ended up going from 3 to like 10, and from 10 we're at 150, 160 people right now on our group. and it just grows every day. The more people that we expose it to try and actually explain the hobby and stuff, the more people get interested and they want to get out there and get their own and start flying and everything else.
My receiver smashed down underneath my flight controller, and then you have to add your camera and your antenna system. But you can buy kits and put them on.
Law enforcement has actually gotten to go ahead up north to start using them for like crowd control and stuff, only for non-lethal things, and they actually are starting to use drones up there. Otherwise, is these quadcopters, a lot of them are being used more for like hobby, for photographing, and even some for search and rescue. There's new technologies coming out that it's incorporating stuff for smaller packages, more cleaner, more efficient packages and stuff, better batteries, better transmitters, even the better goggles and stuff to make it to where the experience is more immersive and it's more realistic. And I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. A lot of them are built, I mean, you can buy the frames and stuff in the stores or order them off the internet and stuff, but a lot of them we hand do all of our modification stuff.
How much does it cost to typically repair those? How does that kind of go?
Crashes happen all the time. It's the nature of the sport, and this literally is a sport. Average cost for quadcopters anywhere from $150, and it can get up as high as $1,500 to $2,000. It just depends on what it is you want to do. A lot of them are either made out of carbon fiber, glass fiber. There's a couple that are even made with some Kevlar, the Kevlar carbon fiber mix, and then 3D printed stuff. It's not just, getting out and having fun that we promote. It's, getting people involved in it, making sure that they're doing it the right way safely, and the right way and wrong way to do things, what to do, what not to do. Yes, they are toys. They are, a hobby-based item, but they are still dangerous to an extent. If you
hold on, do not go.
Do not. A good friend of mine wasn't paying attention first time FPVing, and he was by himself. And instead of flying with somebody else that could watch the quad until he was airborne, that he could watch it safely, he just kind of was doing his own thing and seeing the sunset. He's like, okay, that's kind of cool. Didn't realize the helicopter was coming straight to him. And it ended up chewing up his face. The best way to actually understand it and to get involved with it, or to even get into it, is to actually come to an event, sit down with a pilot after they're done racing. Don't try to bug them and interrupt them while they're flying, because that actually can be hazardous too. And then go from there.
Oh, got a handshake. Hey, how you doing?
In Cape Girardeau, Missouri, right off the corner of Frederick and Independence, the Cape River Heritage Museum building has been standing since August of 1908. The building started as a courthouse, jail, police, and fire station. Now it holds some of Southeast Missouri's most important information, like the founder of Cape Girardeau, Lewis Lorimer. There were also many presidential connections that came through Cape, like Roosevelt, Taft, Nixon, and Kennedy. The Cape River Heritage Museum not only gives the community identity, but it also shows the important people that influenced Southeast Missouri State University. For example, Polk and Vanderburg. The museum provides a rich experience for students to build exhibits for the community.
A historic preservation major really works with the tangible things that you can kind of see, buildings, artifacts, things like that. We work a lot in museums, archives. We work with the Main Street program, which is usually downtown programs in smaller cities. In larger cities, they're mostly like neighborhoods or subdivisions, kind of building those up, getting those educated, bringing them to the people. So a lot of what HP does is really bring the history to the people and keep it fresh, keep it interesting. It's a link. It's not just, as historians, a lot of students just kind of write papers, do a lot of lectures, things like that, whereas historic preservationists are really in the field, hands-on kind of work.
not many people can say that they've designed and built a museum exhibit. I mean, that's really cool and interesting. And so actually getting to do that, every aspect of it, from doing the research for the text boxes, which you learn about with your artifacts, to photographs, to designing, every single aspect of it has really been something that I've really enjoyed as a historic preservation student.
I worked in the fire exhibit that's currently up now, which focuses on the fire department then and now and major fires. And so we were sitting there and we're thinking, what can we do? Like, what are some really interesting ways of bringing the public in to really engage in what they have? And I think one of the great things has been we actually found an old fire hose that had been just kind of laying on the floor, and another HP student, Ellie Height, she pulled it out and we were kind of like, well, what can we do with this? Like, it's cool, it's interesting, like, yeah, it's just a fire hose, but like, what can we do to make it cool? So we actually pulled it out and drew fire with the fire hose, so it spelled out fire, and we actually hung that on the wall. And so it gives you a creative spark. You're thinking always like, yeah, there's a lot of just text boxes or something that they can write about, or pictures. We have so many pictures, but pictures only get and ingrain that message so far. So having something cool and tangible like fire written with a fire hose on a wall really brings the public in and brings their eye in, and you are able to impact more with that creativity.
Not many people who decide to go into museums have had the experience that we've had right off the bat, so that if you do go on to graduate school, that's when people actually really do work with exhibits. But we got to do that as an undergraduate student, and that's something that is very great for anyone who does want to go into museums.
The fire truck is actually kind of a problem. It's both a blessing and a problem. It's so large, but their condition was that the fire truck had to stay. And so there's this huge space, and when we first walked in there, it was ginormous because the truck was actually gone. They were working on it, so the truck was gone. So we're like, oh my gosh, we have all this space, like this is wonderful. And then Dr. Clements comes in and is like, well, there's gonna be a giant fire truck in here, so think accordingly, like plan around it. Then finally, I think it was like the last week, they moved it back in, and we were like, oh my gosh. Those doors actually opened at the end, the fire truck got in, and we thankfully had our entire exhibit basically up. So we didn't have to worry about maneuvering around it because it is a pain, but it's also a part of CAPE.
I think that's something that is very important with local museums. It's something that helps, that makes them, stay a museum, is because of the history that they're able to bring to the community and to allow them to understand another aspect that is a part of their lives and their history.
Not all classrooms are created equal. You can't just learn about life, you have to do it. At Southeast Missouri State University, we can't wait to see what you do.
Hi everybody, my name's Scott Shivelbein. I am a officer and part owner of Shivelbein Music Store Incorporated. A family-owned business, now in its third generation. The first Shivelbeins came from a country called Prussia. Charles William Frederick Shivelbein was a sailor, and he came over in New Orleans and had his own sailing ship in New Orleans and made a lot of money during the war with Mexico. Lost 2 children to yellow fever. He and his wife, Catherine Dirks Shivelbein, decided to get the heck out of that heat and humidity and moved to Chicago. They stopped in Cape Girardeau on the way up the river to visit her sister in Jackson, Missouri. They liked Cape so much that they decided just to stay here, so Every Schievelbein since about 1858, I guess, has lived in Cape Girardeau. My grandfather, William August Schievelbein, was given the true gift from God of the musical ability of being able to play anything he wanted to, just about. He could pick out any kind of tune on the piano. He could play clarinet. He was the municipal band leader here in Cape Girardeau. He also was the high school band director. And he also wrote the Central High alma mater. He did all kinds of things musical. Had two sons, William Lewis and Leland Jean being my father. And William Adam Schievelbein, my grandfather, is the one who started the music store. So it's been a family tradition in Cape Girardeau for years and years. Going back prior to that, going to William August's father, whose name was August, he was a man in a time when most kids didn't get out of the county. His father, who had some money, was a sailor from New Orleans, sent him to study engineering in San Francisco in the 1870s. And then he got back from San Francisco, sent him to Germany to study more engineering. And he came back and he ran a grist mill for a while. The grist mill burned down. He opened a saloon called the Arcade, which is now the building called the Cup and Cork. He was quite the character. He's a member of the city council, big time active on the Cape County Fair Commission. And back in the day, the Cape County Fair was quite the event. August was very active in that. I have at my house a cane given to him by the Cape County Fair and Commission Board that says, "To August Schievelbein for all your work," and it's a 24 karat gold cane, beautiful. And also in August obit it says, "To the man who practically built the Fairgrounds Park as we know it today," and we know Fairgrounds Park to be actually Kappahaw Park. So that's kind of a proud thing for the family that we had a lot to do with the formation of Kappahaw Park, which I think really gives Cape its soul, gives it a tremendous amount of character. We've got a lot of proud family tradition in Cape, public service, had Lions Club, service clubs, all kinds of things like that. The community's been great to us, and we like to give it back when we can, through contributions and serving on the downtown boards for downtown preservation, Old Town Cape, all those kind of things. My dad was the guy that came up with the idea for Tunes of Twilight, which is a real popular Old Town Cape event that they have every summer. A business that started years ago as formerly became Schievelbein's Music in 1949 when my grandfather, William August Schievelbein, bought out his partner, Raymond F., nicknamed Peg Meyer, who was his partner, and it became purely Schievelbein Music. Up until then, it was M&S Music. Then the roots of Peg Myers goes back to the 1930s when he had his own band instrument rental and sales place, sold Martin instruments, and was stay-course by a company called St. Louis Music Incorporated. Peg was quite the music man. He created his own market. These little schools around the area, Delta, Oak Ridge, Bealstadt, you name it, all these little communities had small little country schools, and they had no band director. So Peg would go around and rent them instruments and then go by once a week and give them lessons. So he was not only the salesman, but he was also the teacher, and he created, in effect, his own market, a true music man. His legacy goes back to the 1910s and 20s and 30s when he used to play dances with such names as Peg Meyer and the Melody Kings. They played up at the old Broadway Theater. They played dances. They played on the packet boats and on the river boats, excursion cruises, all kinds of things. Peg worked for us until almost his death, and that was about in 1992. My dad and grandfather took Schievelbein's Music over. Peg continued to work as a band instrument repairman, and were making a go of it when my grandfather developed heart disease and died. 2 come to his relief was my uncle, William Lewis Shivelbein, my Uncle Bill, who had an engineering degree from Rolla and was a very intelligent man, but he loved to play clarinet. He gave up his big-time career to come back and run a mom-and-pop music store with his brother, L.J. or Leland. My dad's nickname was Freck, for Freckles was his nickname. He came back about 1950, 1951, something like that, and we were in our old building up at 630 Broadway. And with a lot of work and good luck, they sold pianos, they sold organs, they sold some of the first electric guitars made by Leo Fender guitars, and then the Gibsons, the Les Pauls, all those things that are now tremendously valuable. Some worth 6 figures we had up at our store. The music store is owned by myself and my 2 brothers, Greg and Mike. My cousin, Bill Shivelbein, has his own separate company called Shivelbein Music and Sound, and he deals with guitars, amplifiers, PA equipment, and keyboards. We specialize in school music, calling on schools, getting kids started in playing clarinet, flute, the basic instruments, flute, clarinet, trumpet, trombone, and percussion. And then every once in a while an oboe player or a French horn, sometimes a baritone. And that's what we continue with to this day. When we go around, we service over 100 schools in southeast Missouri, southern Illinois, and northeastern Arkansas. All the way up to Festus, Crystal City, all the way over in Illinois, Pinckneyville, Carterville, all over southern Illinois, and then parts of the Boot Heel, and then Jonesboro, Arkansas. So quite a territory that we would cover.
We are the Redhawks. Every season builds on the strengths of those who came before us. Being good has never been good enough. We always want more. The journey isn't easy, but we aren't looking for easy. Victory is sweeter when it is earned. And when it comes to victories, we do whatever it takes. We are Redhawks. Competing is what we do best. For the full schedule, visit GoSoutheast.com.